Thank you, Brother Wood, for connecting me with the class.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
It's time for us to begin. It's 2:30. We're going to start by going to God in prayer. Then I'm going to be calling the names and you let me know that you are present.
Sure.
Father in heaven, we pray a blessing upon our class. We pray that you may give us an understanding mind of what we are about to look at in the Hebrew language. We pray, dear Father, in Jesus' name, amen. Okay, as I call your name, let me know that you are there. Israel.
Present, sir.
Okay. Solin.
Present, sir.
Thank you. Wood.
Present, sir.
Good. Roy. Richard. Roy. Sister Hooper. All right. I'm going to bring the present lesson on the screen at this time. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes,
Good.
sir.
Today we're moving on to a new lesson, lesson number 9, rules governing whether a syllable may have a long vowel or a short vowel. Thus far in this new term, we have looked at syllables and we have looked at accents, the uses of the accents. Now we're going to be looking at when a syllable may have a long vowel or a short vowel. The general objectives are: number 1, to examine when a syllable may take a long vowel. 2, to examine when a syllable may take a short vowel. The specific objectives are: 1, at the end of this lesson, the students will have identified what kind of syllable usually takes a long vowel. Number 2, at the end of this lesson, the students will have identified what kind of syllable usually takes a short vowel. 3, at the end of this lesson, the students will have identified an exception to the rule of what kind of syllable usually takes a long vowel. Number 4, at the end of this lesson, the students will have identified an exception to the rule of what kind of syllable usually takes a short vowel. What you have here is a pattern of rule and exception. So we're going to be looking at that. What are the rules governing where a long vowel or a short vowel may be put in a syllable, and exceptions to each of those rules. Okay, number 1, usually an open syllable has a long vowel. Can anyone remind me what an open syllable is?
An open syllable begins with a consonant and ends with a vowel.
Thank you. So it begins with a consonant and ends with a vowel. Okay, so usually Now, I didn't say all the time, but I said usually. So this is the regular rule governing where a long vowel may be put. Usually an open syllable, which consists of a consonant followed by a vowel, has a long vowel. For example, in this word, aleph, right here, in Atham, this is Atham or Adam, which means Adam or man or human being or mankind. Aleph in Atham is followed by the long vowel Kames. This is the long vowel ah, like in father. So it is ah. So this is an open vowel. This is a consonant, aleph, as well as the other letters in the Hebrew alphabet are all consonants. And these different shapes are vowels. And so you have a consonant followed by a vowel. And that is an open syllable, CV, consonant vowel. Now, this rule then tells us that generally speaking, you will find a long vowel in an open syllable. So when you see an open syllable, the general rule is that you should expect to see a long vowel in that open syllable. Usually an open syllable has a long vowel. We will look at the exception in the next few minutes, but that is a general rule. Look for a long vowel, whether it be kames or whether it be sire, or whether it be long kirik, or whether it be shurek, or whether it be kolem. Remember the long vowels that you were taught last term. Expect to see any of those long vowels in an open syllable. I've only used this as an example, but other words could be used. Usually you will expect a long vowel like kames, a, in an open syllable, consonant followed by a vowel. The second rule, which is also general, usually a closed syllable has a short vowel. Can anyone remind me about what a closed syllable is?
A closed syllable begins with a consonant followed by a vowel and ends with a consonant.
Thanks very much. So you have C, V, C.
Yes,
Consonant followed by vowel followed by another consonant. That is a closed syllable. Generally, a closed syllable has a short vowel. Now, I don't say all the time, just like in number one. This is a general rule, and the general rule will have an exception, but expect a short vowel. Let's look at an example I've given. For example, and I've written in English letters. For example, in Daleth, this is Daleth, Segol, Resh, Segol, and Kaf, the final Kaf. Now you have this word divided into two syllables. There is the open syllable, consonant followed by vowel, Daleth followed by Segol, De. That's an open syllable. I've put the dash here or the hyphen to indicate that there is a breaking up of the word into two syllables. Now the other syllable consists of our R, which is the Hebrew consonant resh, our E, which is the segol, the short E sound, and Kaf, our K. Derek, which is a Hebrew word that means way. Now notice that rek, R-E-K, at the end of the word is a closed syllable because it has a consonant followed by a vowel and followed by another consonant, C, V, C, consonant, vowel, consonant. Okay, so rek is a closed syllable and the E vowel, the segol, is a short S sound, like the E in bed, B-E-D. It's an S sound. So usually a closed syllable has a short vowel. So rek is a closed syllable and a short vowel is usually expected to be there. All right, so what we have looked at thus far is this. A general rule is an open syllable has a long vowel. Another general rule is a closed syllable has a short vowel. Now, if that were the only rules, it would have made the lesson simple. But as you learn in studying different languages, you do have exceptions to the general rule. So we're now going to be looking at exceptions. So number 3, sometimes an open syllable may take a short vowel. Sometimes an open syllable may take a short vowel. So we need to learn when that is. What may we look for to know that an open syllable is going to take a short vowel? Because that is not the usual practice. That's not the usual grammar. This is an exception to the grammatical rule. So here it is. If the open syllable is accented, that is, it has the accent on it, it may have a short vowel. Let me repeat that. If the open syllable is accented, it may have a short vowel. The arrowhead, as you can see here, over the consonant is traditionally used to mark the accented syllable when the accent is placed on the syllable immediately next to the last syllable. For example, in that same word that I used over here in number 2, derek, the Hebrew word for way, the syllable de, daleth followed by segol, the syllable de, consonant followed by a vowel, CV, is an open syllable, and it is also accented. I was not able to find the device on the laptop to put an arrowhead here, but this is where you would find the arrowhead over this first syllable, over the open syllable. Usually the accent would be on the last syllable, but in this word, an accent is over the first syllable, which is an open syllable, and because an accent is there, then the rule of grammar in Hebrew allows for a short vowel to be put there. If it didn't have an accent, then it would need to have a long vowel, like in atham. In atham, the accent is over the last syllable as usual. And this open syllable at the front, aleph, plus commas is what you would expect because that's the general rule. An open syllable has a long vowel. But here is an exception. An open syllable will take a short vowel if it has an accent over that syllable. And so in Derek, you do have an accent over the open syllable de. Another example is the word melek. Mem, segol, lameth, segol, kaf. M-E, then I put a hyphen or dash to indicate this is the end of one syllable and the beginning of another. Lek. Here is another open syllable, me, consonant followed by vowel. This Hebrew word means king in English. The me, melek, segol, is an open syllable and it is also accented. So you'd have the accent right here over this syllable, the arrowhead. Normally the accent would be on the last syllable, but if it is on a syllable other than the last syllable, that other syllable will have that special accent mark to show in this particular word, you will put the accent where it is normally not placed. So here you have an open syllable and it is accented, and therefore the E vowel, the segol, the short S sound, is permitted there, even though it wasn't permitted over here. There was really no accent over this syllable, so it would need, in this case, to follow the general rule of having a long vowel. But when an open syllable has an accent, like de in Derek or me in Melek, then the exception is you allow a short vowel to be put here. It is permitted. You're not breaking the rule. Here is another example. The word nefesh. This is nun, segol. That's one syllable. Then the final syllable is Phe, P-H-E or F-E, and then Shin. So you have Nefesh. And here you have an open syllable, consonant followed by vowel. And in the Hebrew, you'd see the accent over this open syllable. The accent usually comes on the last syllable, but if it comes over the syllable next to the last, it will have an arrowhead indicating that you put the accent there. And if the accent is there, the rules of grammar allow a short vowel to be put in this open syllable. Nefesh means soul. The ne is an open syllable and it is also accented, and the e vowel, the segol, is a short e vowel, like in bed. So one exception to this rule at number 1 is sometimes an open syllable may take a short vowel when the accent goes over that open syllable. That is when it is permitted for a short vowel to be put in an open syllable. If it doesn't have the accent mark, then, or if it doesn't have the accent, then it is not permitted to put a short vowel in that word. Here's another exception, and this is the exception to rule number 2. Sometimes a closed syllable may take a long vowel. Sometimes a closed syllable may take a long vowel. Now notice in number 2 it says, usually a closed syllable has a short vowel. That is what you would normally expect. But what is it that we must see in that syllable for it to have a long vowel and not break rule number 2. Here it is. If the closed syllable is accented, if the closed syllable is accented, it may have a long vowel. For example, unless indicated, most words are accented on the last syllable, even though the accent mark may be absent. Therefore, taking this word, atham, we know that the closed syllable in atham is thaleth, followed by kames, the long R sound, and mem. It is THAM or DAM. That's the closed syllable. Consonant followed by vowel followed by consonant. And in this closed syllable, there is the long vowel kames, ah, as in father. Why is it there? Because usually the accent comes on the last syllable. And you don't see any arrowhead because the general thing is that most words take the accent on the last syllable. So it is already understood that the last syllable is accented unless it is indicated otherwise by an arrowhead over the syllable that is next to the last syllable. So since this is accented, the rules governing where you put long or short vowels tell us that a closed syllable will take a long vowel when that closed syllable is accented. So thumb or dam has an accent in that closed syllable, and therefore it has kames in it as a long vowel.
Understand, sir.
Now here's the final rule governing
Just
when
a
a
second, sir.
syllable may have a long vowel or a short vowel. I'm going to reposition the videos so that the videos that you can see. All right. So
Sir?
rule number 5 is this. A syllable which is closed and unaccented must have a short vowel. Yes, go ahead, Richard. Yes, go ahead and
Yeah.
tell me what it is.
Yes, sir. Suppose you're supposed to read the Hebrew Bible. When do you know when the word is accented if the accent marks are not there?
Okay, I heard the first part. Could you repeat and put your mouth near to the mic, your mic?
All right, sir. I'm
Yes.
saying that suppose you're reading the Hebrew Bible. How will you know that the word is accented when there is no accented mark?
Okay, well, the Hebrew Bible is well accented. In fact, it is more accented than what we have in the grammar book. There are different accents in different words, but these are rules governing where you put a long vowel or where you put a short vowel. It is for us to learn these basic rules and apply them when later on we read the Hebrew Bible. At this point, you have not learned enough, we have not learned enough to be able to read the Hebrew Bible. So this is why it's called beginner's Hebrew. So we are learning these basic rules so that we can know why it is that you have a long vowel in an open syllable and a short vowel in a closed syllable, and why sometimes there is a short vowel in an open syllable and a long vowel in a closed syllable. These rules will help us to understand what is happening in the words in the Hebrew Bible. Okay, so we will understand this better as we make progress in our study of Hebrew. Now this rule, rule number 5, is very important, and I will soon explain why. But let us look at the rule first. A syllable which is closed, so you have consonant followed by vowel and followed by consonant, and unaccented, there is no accent. The rule says that if these two conditions are present in a word, in a syllable, the syllable is closed and the syllable is also without any accent, then it must, I have put the word must in italics, that is, the letters are leaning, to emphasize that this is something necessary. Once you have a closed syllable and the syllable is without any accent, then there is only one kind of vowel that it can take. It must have a short vowel. And that logically follows from what we have seen over here. We have seen over here rule number 2, usually a closed syllable has a short vowel. We have seen an exception to number 2 in rule number 4, that if the closed syllable has an accent, then it may take a long vowel. But what does that imply? It implies that if the syllable is closed, and if the syllable does not have an accent, then it must take only one kind of vowel, and that is what you have here, a short vowel. So a syllable which is closed, consonant followed by vowel, followed by consonant, and is unaccented, there is no stress to be placed on that syllable, must have a short vowel. For example, if the vowel sign, which normally we think of it as long R, but remember, this sign is also found in the short vowels that we learned. We have seen that this is also the short as in top. So how do we know when it is and when it is o? Well, if we see that the syllable that this symbol is in is closed and it has no accent, then it could not be the long R. It must be the short as in top. So if this vowel sign that looks like a capital T is in a closed, unaccented syllable, it must be a short vowel, and it is therefore short as in top, instead of being long R as in father. Let me give you 2 examples. Here is the Hebrew word okla. Okla. Okla means food. As you can see, the dish with different food, different types of food in there. Now, how do I know it is not akla? How do I know that this symbol that is so often pronounced as an A should here be pronounced as an O? Well, let us look at the rule. Usually the accent comes on the last syllable. The last syllable in this word is la, lameth, kames, and hey. This is the final syllable, and it's a closed syllable. So we know it's kames, we know it's long a here, because the rule says that if there is a closed syllable and it is accented, it may take a long vowel. So it is kames here. But why is it not also kames or a here in the beginning of the word? Well, first of all, notice what kind of syllable this is. Can anybody tell me what kind of syllable this is? Aleph followed by Aleph followed by Kames Hatuf. This is what it is called, Kames Hatuf. That would be like a half Kames with an off sound. Aleph followed by Kames Hatuf or Katuf, followed by Kaf. At a later stage, not too long from now, we will learn about this symbol, but don't bother with it right now. So Aleph followed by what could either be Kames, like it is over here, or the short vowel Kames Hatuf or Katuf, which is an O. How do we know what kind of syllable is this? Is it an open syllable or is it a closed syllable?
Close.
Would anyone like to say?
Close.
It's a closed syllable. It is, why do you say it is a closed syllable?
Because it begins with a consonant, it's followed by the vowel Kames Hatuf, and ends with a consonant.
Exactly. Thank you, Brother Solon. So it starts with a consonant, and that's Aleph, the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet. It is followed by a vowel. Whatever the vowel is, let's just pretend we don't know yet, but it's followed by a vowel, and it ends with another consonant. This is Kaf. So it is a closed syllable. Now, does this first syllable have an accent over it? Do you see any accent mark over it?
No, sir.
Do you see any
Yes,
arrowhead
sir.
over this syllable?
Oh, sir.
No, sir.
No, I don't see any arrowhead.
No, sir.
I do not see any sign of an accent over this first syllable. Now, if the accent wasn't here on the last syllable, you would have seen an arrowhead over this syllable. But since there is no arrowhead over this syllable, it means that the accent is on the last syllable where it usually is. So this is a closed syllable. It is also an unaccented syllable. It doesn't have an accent on it. It has both conditions for having a short vowel, because the rule says a syllable which is closed and unaccented, that is without an accent, must have a short vowel. So in a word in which you have two symbols that look exactly alike, we see that this rule, rule number 5, tells us that this symbol here is the short O rather than the long A. It is the short O. It is Kames Katuf or Kames Hatuf, the short O. And so it is to be pronounced Okla, Okla, O-K-H, Ok, La, L-A-H, Okla, not Akla, not A-K-H-L-A-H, because this is a closed syllable. It is also a syllable that has no accent, and therefore it must have a short vowel. Okla, food. Now here is another one in English letters. This represents the consonant Keth. And this is the symbol that you see here. How will we know whether it is an A or an O? Well, the one who put this together already answered that question for us, but I just want to explain why that person put an O instead of an A. But let us just look at the word first. So you have keth, you have kames hatuf, the short or short o. You have okay, this is kaf, and then you have mem, which is the m, and you have kames, the long r, and you have hey, kokma, kokma. Now the fact is, if I can get my arrow back, the fact is that what is written as an O in English and as an A in English is actually the same symbol that looks like a capital T. How did the person who put this illustration together know that the first capital T represented the short O sound, and the second capital T represented the long R sound as in father? Well, here it is. Let me show you now. You see HOK, hawk or cock, that is a closed syllable because it is consonant followed by vowel, followed by another consonant. So it is a closed syllable. It also doesn't have any arrowhead symbol indicating that an accent is to be there. Therefore, we conclude that the accent is to be on the ma, the mem, kames, he, the MAH, which is the final syllable, the last syllable of the word. So since we have the knowledge of two conditions that would necessitate or make it necessary for the capital T symbol to be kames hatuf or kames katuf, a short sound, in that it is closed, HOK is a closed syllable, and it doesn't have any accent on it, then it must have a short vowel. And that is the short vowel, the capital T symbol, which is kames hatuf or kames katuf, a short sound. So now we're seeing two words. It's not common, but now we're seeing two words in which that capital T symbol is not to be pronounced as an but it is to be pronounced as an Over on the right, it is ok, not ak. And over on the left, it is hok, but it is not hak. Kokma or hokma means wisdom, skill, or aptitude. It's a common word in the book of Proverbs, which speaks a lot about the wisdom of God. So let us, in our review now, let us just put everything together. This lesson is about knowing when you may have a long vowel in a syllable and when you may have a short vowel. That's really what the lesson is about. How do I know when a word may take a long vowel in a certain syllable and a short vowel in another syllable? These are the general rules with their exception, governing whether a syllable may take a long vowel or a short vowel. So I'm going to be looking only now in summary at the underlined words. So rule number 1, usually an open syllable has a long vowel. Number 2, usually a closed syllable has a short vowel. Number 3, sometimes an open syllable may take a short vowel. Number 4, sometimes a closed syllable may take a long vowel. Number 5, a syllable which is closed and unaccented must have a short vowel. Now, in the case of number 3 and number 4, this is the part that adds some amount of difficulty to learning the lesson, because what we have in number 3 and number 4 are exceptions to general rules. So when is it that an open syllable may take a short vowel? Well, to answer it in a simple way, you may know that an open syllable may take a short vowel if it has an arrowhead over the open syllable. Here is the arrowhead. If it has the accent symbol, which is this arrowhead, over that open syllable, a consonant followed by a vowel, then it can take a short vowel. It doesn't have to take a long vowel. If it has that accent mark, it may take a short vowel. What about the other one? Number 4. Sometimes a closed syllable may take a long vowel. Well, if that closed syllable has an accent on it, then it may take a long vowel. And the opposite is true. If that syllable, which is closed, doesn't have an accent on it, then it must have a short vowel. The rule restricts it to one particular vowel, and that is a short vowel. A syllable which is closed and unaccented must have a short vowel. Now, what I want you to do, you know this is a short lesson, but you will need to read it again and again to really understand. I want you to study this lesson, and next week I want to test how much you understand it. So I want you to study this lesson, which I'll be sending to you right after this lesson is finished. Study it in preparation for your test on lesson number 9, which is rules governing when a syllable may take a long vowel or a short vowel. Now, do you have any questions or comments?
No, sir.
When you're learning something for the first time, it is not so easy to grasp. If you have learned it before, it's not as difficult. But I believe that this is new to you. So if you have any questions, something might not be clear right now, and you want me to try to clear it up. Do you have any question on this?
No, we don't, sir. We don't have any question.
Okay, so make sure that you all study this lesson number 9 in preparation for your test on it. Now the reason I'm giving you so many tests, I realize that studying a language in and of itself is a difficult task. Even for people who speak the English language, some people have difficulty studying their own language. English, I hear, is one of the most difficult languages in the world to learn. Studying languages in general is not so easy. Some people have the skill, the natural skill in studying languages, but it takes a lot of mental effort. If I were to test you on maybe 2 or 3 lessons at one time, there would be such a lot of technical information for you to remember. So I prefer to take it a little bit at a time and to see how well you do or how poorly you do and discuss it with you in class. So that is why I'm giving you a test on this lesson, Lord willing, next week. Okay, so If you do have any question arising from your study, you can always send me your email and ask your questions or make your comments. Make sure that you check your email at least once a day, because important messages may be sent from me or from some other lecturer, which you might miss if you do not check it on a daily basis. So if you can check it even once per day, that would be good. Okay, well, may you have a wonderful weekend. Continue to pray for our country and for other countries that we will be delivered by God from this pandemic, the coronavirus, and that our crime rate may decrease. The church really needs to do a lot more to influence the societies to love God and love their neighbor as themselves and to follow Jesus. That really is the only answer to our crime problem worldwide. Okay, well, have a good weekend. So I'll see you next